Ceann Comhairle, Minister, the Irish public are intensely and rightly proud of our defence forces. Irish soldiers have given their lives in the service of peace around the world, protecting some of the world's most vulnerable citizens. Thousands of their families at home endure the absence of a father or a mother for long periods of overseas service. Our Air Corps fly air ambulances and save hundreds of lives annually. The Irish Naval Service patrols 220 million acres of sea, over 12 times the landmass of Ireland and 15% of European fisheries. The Navy has intercepted some of the largest drug shipments in EU waters and is a vital component in Ireland's war on organised crime and drug gangs. But our Defence Forces, Minister, are in deep crisis. In particular, there is a recruitment and a retention crisis. This week, the Chief of Staff, not known for his outspokenness, has sent what you could call a coded message to government when he said, "Some great people are making the choice to leave the organisation, and the level and trend in the churn, that's the turnover rate, is a matter of concern to me." The RACO President made it more clearly when he said ships are unable to go to sea, aircraft are not flying and units are operating below strength across the board. Minister, the designated strength of the Defence Forces is 9,500 personnel, and the current strength is below that figure by as much as 1,000. And already this year there has been 558 discharges. The turnover rate referred to by the Chief of Staff is at 10.3%, which is devastating our Defence Forces. That rate of turnover, Minister, means that the Defence Forces will never return to full strength and indeed will fall to 7,500 by 2030. The situation is so bad, in fact, that even recruits in training are paying to get out of the service. Minister, your government is presiding over a situation where our Defence Forces personnel are the lowest paid workers in the public service, some earning less than the minimum wage. 85% are earning less than the average industrial wage. And Minister, I want to ask you this morning, in view of the understrength in the numbers in the Defence Forces, the huge turnover rate, the large number including new recruits leaving the service, and the number of naval protection vessels out of commission due to lack of personnel, and indeed the underspend in the Department of Defence, will your government immediately improve the pay conditions and allowances of the Defence Forces, including the immediate and full restoration of all cuts in these pay allowances and services? Will you immediately increase the basic minimum hourly rate of pay to at least the living wage?
Thank you, Deputy.
And finally, Minister, will your government withdraw the tender for the 200 million multi-role warship and use that money to improve the pay conditions and allowances of our personnel? Unfortunately, Minister, the reply I think that you have given is a further exercise in the government burying its head in the sand instead of dealing with this issue. And that's certainly not the way forward. Tinkering at the edges will not solve this problem. And indeed, the problem is so serious that Uachtaráin Ahern and Michael D. Higgins has felt the need to intervene publicly on this issue.
It's not in order to bring the statements of the President into debate here in the House.
Well,
long-standing tradition.
It's something that is widely...
Long-standing tradition. We do not.
Well, it is very important, I think, to realise the serious nature of the crisis in our Defence Forces and the necessity for the government to deal immediately with this issue. It is, in fact, open for the government as an exceptional measure outside of any public service pay agreement to improve pay and conditions and allowances for serving members of the Defence Forces. But on the basis of the government's lack of action on this issue in the past and the Minister's response here this morning, I am strongly of the view that the Defence Forces personnel should pursue full trade union status and recognition to ensure that their pay and conditions of service and allowances are improved.
Minister